ahead and start the meeting. I want to welcome all of you to this special opportunity for us to reconnect. It's been a year of quite sets of events trying to navigate student placement, student teaching, classroom observations in the midst of a global pandemic. So I want to start out by saying how much as a college and a university, we appreciate you, our district partners. Just last week, we held our credential ceremony where we celebrate candidates who completed their credentials. We had candidates from multiple and single subjects, special education, school psychology, school counseling, rehabilitation counseling, and all the programs, school site administration. And what a gratifying experience it was for me, that in the midst of the pandemic, we were able to have almost 400 candidates finish their credentials. Now, that could not have been possible if not because of you, our district partners. When the pandemic hit and we all had to shelter in place and begin to find ways to continue to operate, schools closed down, people were exploring how to continue to teach and engage with the students at the K-12 level. And here we were at your door, knocking at your door, asking you if our students can still continue to do student teaching. And I know for some of you, that was quite a challenge, taking on that additional pressure when you are still struggling to know what to do with your own students. So but a lot of you, all of you, you responded positively to us. You allowed our candidates to come in, even in the virtual classrooms, and continue to observe and learn and work with your master teachers, many of whom were still trying to navigate what they are doing with their K-12 students. So we do not, as a college, take it lightly. We couldn't have completed this academic year without you. We know how much pressure we placed on you. Many times we were calling and the students were calling and people were calling from different areas. And yet, when you put everything in perspective, we're only one of the many colleges that you work with. And we still feel like you give us such a positive response. So I simply wanted to start this meeting this afternoon with, if I have a bouquet of flowers, I'll send to all your offices to say how grateful we are that you helped us navigate the challenge of this pandemic. I remember writing multiple emails and letters to the superintendents as we were encountering some challenges, TPA issues, and a number of other issues, reminding them that we can't give up because the state of California continues to suffer from significant teacher shortage. And if we don't continue to do what we're doing, the state will be more negatively impacted. And I don't know what is happening at the school districts right now as we are talking about reopening, and some of you have already reopened. But some have speculated that we're going to lose some teachers this year. So as colleges of education, we have a responsibility to continue to produce teachers who can replace those who are retiring, as well as teachers who are able to step in and help as you guys are working hard to reduce class sizes. So we see our role in the Inland Empire as critical for the life and sustainability of the K-12 system. We are the only CSU in this county, San Bernardino and Riverside in the inland region. We're the only CSU. And we feel the burden on us to continue to engage and to continue to produce teachers in order for us to serve our region effectively. So as much as we recognize that and as much as we're working hard to make it happen, we know we can't do it alone. So we call these meetings as a time for us to connect with you and to simply plan together. We wanted to have this meeting before many of your school sites close down for the summer, because we want to be ahead of the game and not wait till summer or till to the fall to begin to engage with you, because we know a lot of you continue to work through the summer. And our faculty members, most of the people who are here at this meeting will continue to work through the summer. So we're hoping that we'll be able to be ready when schools reopen in the fall to get the students placed and to have reduced stress. Again, you are serving a number of colleges in the area. But many times when we encounter you, you treat us as if we're the only ones that you're dealing with. We feel special, and we're very grateful for that. So thank you to all of you, all the districts. I don't know how else to communicate our heartfelt gratitude, because this year has been a year that has been filled with challenges. You helped us navigate through those challenges. You helped us overcome them. And our students are better prepared going into the classrooms despite the pandemic because of you. And I want to thank my colleagues, the program coordinators, the chairs, the placement staff, and everyone who is here. I want to say how much I appreciate the work you have done this year. This is what happened this year makes it more valid when we make the comment that it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to educate a child. It is not something that one individual or one organization can do on their own. There is a codependency that exists that we must all appreciate and continue to foster as districts work with the higher education institutions and as higher education institutions work with the school districts, knowing that our successes depend on one another. So I want to thank you. And before we move on, I would hand over the introduction. Actually, before that, I want to open the door for individuals to introduce themselves. Especially, I would like to start with those from the school district who are here right now. I would like to go through the list and call on names, and you can please introduce yourself. Let me start with Mary Suzuki.
Hi, I'm Mary Suzuki, and I'm a superintendent at Bear Valley Unified School District.
Thank you. And let me call on William Hans Koff.
Hi, everyone. Hans Koffold. I'm with Riverside Unified School District, and I'm the Teacher Induction Specialist.
William Roberts, this fourth.
Hello, Chinaka. Rob Roberts, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources for Mr. Ted Alejandre, San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools.
Thank
Glad
you,
to be here.
Rob. Glad you're here. Becky Moreno.
Hi, everyone. Becky Moreno with Hesperia Unified School District. I am actually Executive Secretary in the Office of Professional Development and Induction. I assist in placing student teachers and interns within our district. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Carrie Sotro Etiwanda.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Carrie Sotro from the Etiwanda School District. I am an instruction coordinator and induction program lead.
Thank you. Brittany Fryer.
Good afternoon. I'm Brittany Fry. I'm the credentials analyst at Hesperia Unified School District. Nice to see you all.
Thank you. Morgan Pellatara.
Hello, everybody. My name is Morgan Pelletera. I work for the San Bernardino City Unified School District. I'm the lead of the demonstration teacher program, and I'm the student teacher placement coordinator. I'm so happy to be here today with you.
Thank you. Heather Lynn Griggs.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Griggs. I'm the superintendent of the Oro Grande School District.
Thank you. Leah Armstrong.
Good afternoon. I'm Leah Armstrong. I am the coordinator of human resources with Hemet Unified School District.
Okay. Michael Garcia.
Hi, welcome everybody. Michael Garcia, Director of Family and Community Engagement and Public Information Officer here for the Fontana Unified School District, and I work out of the Superintendent's office.
Thank you. John Gonzalez.
Good afternoon. I'm Jan Gonzalez. I'm Superintendent of Victor Elementary School District.
Thank you. Lily Diamond.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lily Damon, and I am a school counselor at Etiwanda School District.
Thank you. Annie Yates.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Annie Yates, and I'm the principal with Riverside County Office of Education.
Thank you. Stephanie Phillips.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Phillips. I'm the CTE College and Career Readiness Coordinator at Rim of the World Unified.
Thank you. Wilson Cuella.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the invite. Wilson Cuellar, Assistant Director, Certificated Personnel with Riverside Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Klobs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm from San Bernardino City Unified School District, and I am the lead of our induction program.
Thank you. Lily Diamond.
I had my turn already, but hello again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. So let me know, see who I haven't gotten. Did I get you, Leah Armstrong? Okay.
Yes, you did.
Anybody else that have not been called from outside who is not CSUSB? Okay. Let me have Dr. Robertson take over, introduce our team, and also the new people. Yes.
I believe we have Amanda Orseo. That didn't get to introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm a
I think that's internet network problem there. So when she comes back, we'll call her. And for some of you, I don't think I even introduced myself as the Dean of the College of Education. So I know that many of you know me, but for those who may not, I am the Dean of the college. Dr. Stacy Robertson, whom I'm calling on to take over from this point, is our Associate Dean. Dr.
Hi.
Robertson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Stacy Robertson, Interim Associate Dean. I wanted to, I was looking through the names. I wanted to introduce our supervision office staff. I think even from the last time we might have a new group of people. So I want to be able to introduce them, but I also want to have our CSUSB people introduce themselves first also. So I will start with supervision staff, and then I'll ask the CSUSB people our faculty and staff to introduce themselves as well. So Our supervision office, we have Renisha Wilkes, who is the director of our field placement office. And we have on our call, we should have Lauren Lopez. And I'm gonna tell you that I can't really find everyone. And Tamara Patterson. And Tamara, you might have met before. So let me highlight them and give them a second to talk about themselves, and then we'll have the CSUSB faculty and staff introduce themselves too. Renisha.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renisha Wilkes, and as Stacy mentioned, I'm the Fieldwork Placement Coordinator for the Supervision Office. I'm so excited to finally put a face to names. It's so difficult sometimes when we're talking across a keyboard and not really being able to picture a face, who I'm talking to. So I'm very excited for today. I'm excited for fall. I want to just, echo several people's sentiments already that they've already mentioned. Thank you so much for your partnership, your continued partnership. We appreciate you all. Thank you.
Lauren, could you say hi for a quick minute?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to also see your face. I know I've probably met you through email, most of you, and for those I haven't, I look forward to working with you. But I'm new to the office. I like Renisha, I started in January, so I think I have my feet wet and I'm ready for the new year.
And Tammy, I figured out, I've been learning all the new Zoom things, if you notice, so hopefully those all spotlighted for you and I'm not just over here clicking buttons. So Tammy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tammy Patterson, and I work with the special education interns, student teachers, and also the PPS placements.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I've been here for a while and working on various placement items, and I'm happy to have Renisha and Lauren here so we can be a great team and get everybody placed.
And I think I want to echo Tammy's comments about having the great team, because we've been working on making sure we could have a good team for this office for a little bit. So we are now fully staffed and pretty excited. If we can get the CSUSB faculty and staff to also introduce themselves, I can go by the screen and see if I can work this out. Dr. Jindra, Susan Jindra, can I get you to introduce yourself?
Unmute first. Hi, I'm Susan Jindra, and I coordinate the Administrative Services credential. We also have the Administrative Services intern credential on board.
Thank you. Mark Groen?
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Groen. I'll be working with the new MA in Education program.
Perfect. Thank you. Mick Verdi.
Hi, I'm Mick Verdi. I'm going to be returning as the TPA coordinator for the multiple and single subjects programs. So I guess this is my first official meeting. So, hi.
Sheila Braggs.
Hi, I'm Sheila Braggs, and I'm a program admission advisor in the College of Education.
Becky, Dr. Sambera, Becky Sambera.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. And we're going to have an exciting year because we have 202 returning student teachers, and I'm the single subject coordinator, and we have about another 200 new students that we need your support with. So anything you can do, feel free to email me, call me, and we appreciate your partnership. So thank you and bless you all, because you guys have been such a support for us in ensuring that our candidates have the skills needed to go into your schools. So thank you.
Thank you. Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Provencio, and I am Dr. Robertson's assistant.
Which is why she didn't even get a last name. Sorry, Kathy. Kathy Provencio. Let's call out Kathy. Jennifer Martin.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Martin. I'm the executive assistant to Dean Damwachuku.
Thank you. Dr. Marita Mahoney.
Good afternoon, Marina Mahoney, Special Assistant to Dean and Director of the College of Education Office of Assessment and Accreditation.
Thank you. Arlena.
Oh, my name is Arlena Allende. I'm Program Admissions Advisor for the College of Education for Credentials and Masters.
Shannon Sparks, Dr. Sparks.
Hi, I'm Shannon Sparks. I am in the Department of Special Education, Rehab and Counseling, and I know some of you because I've connected with you, so thank you so much for everything that you do for the college and for the students. I also coordinate fieldwork and the intern program, so nice to be with you guys today.
Amy Thomas. Oh, we can't hear you, Amy. You're on mute.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Amy Thomas. I do admissions for the multiple single and special ed credential programs.
Thank you. Jennifer Ariola.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Ariola, and I'm one of 2 credential analysts.
Monica Rodriguez.
Hi, I'm the 2nd credential analyst. Nice to meet you all.
And we did Lauren, Dr. Ajayi. Let's see.
Good afternoon. My name is Lasisi Ajayi. I'm the interim chair of Teacher Education and Foundations, and also interim program coordinator for the multiple subject program, a lot of interim. I have met with many of you over the last 6 years, and I want to thank you for your work with our students. We value your work, and we continue to look forward to your work and to your assistance with our students. Again, good afternoon and welcome to this meeting.
Donna Schnorr, Dr. Schnorr.
Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Schnorr. I'm the interim department chair for special education, rehabilitation, and counseling. And welcome to everyone who's here. We so appreciate your dedication and commitment to the educational community. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Jason Bullock.
Hi, my name is Jason Bullock, Director of Marketing and Student Outreach. Happy to be here and hear from all of you.
Thank you. Marcus Reynolds. His camera's not on. Marcus Reynolds is our director. There you go.
Hello, Marcus Reynolds, Director of Project Impact. My internet is very unstable, so hopefully you can hear me and I'm not freezing.
We can hear you. Thank you. And I wanted to get back to Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
I'll try again. So
Yes.
Amanda Arceo here from Hesperia Unified School District, and I'm the coordinator of professional development and induction.
Perfect. Thank you. All right,
Okay.
those are our introductions. The next thing on our agenda, Dean, you want this back? Are you our MC
Yeah.
for today?
Yeah, let me take that next one. I want to again reiterate our appreciation of all of you. And I'm honestly honored that we have quite a mix of people. We have the superintendents, we have assistant superintendents, we have directors of the different things for the district. We want to engage with all of you at all levels because we want our conversation to be meaningful. This new section, this next section, what we would like to do is hear from you. Because for us to plan appropriately, it's important that we understand what you guys are looking forward to doing. I know that the state of California is talking about reopening everything and beginning to think we're getting back to normal, whatever that might look like. So we would like a situation where we get some update from the districts as to what you're looking forward to doing as schools reopen in the fall. I know that right now, some of you are already open. Some of you have a particular number of students coming in at different times. You have different kinds of schedules across the board. But what is your plan for the fall? It's important for us to know that, so that we'll be able to also plan to fit what you guys are hoping to do. Are there new initiatives? Are there important updates that you think will affect us as partners as we try to navigate this new normal of education? Everybody knows that the pandemic has shifted the direction of education in a very unique way. And we cannot possibly return to pre-pandemic normal. We are hoping that we've learned some lessons through the pandemic that we're going to take along with us. So I would like for us to simply listen to you in the next few minutes as you share with us what is the plan for your districts. So I would like to hear from the 2 or 3 superintendents that are here first, and then from the rest of you as to what is the outlook going into the fall.
Our plan for Bear Valley Unified School District is that our students return full-time, 5 days a week, and but all of our students will still continue to have one-to-one Chromebooks in case there's some major change last minute where they have to go distance for a period of time. But at this point, the board is ready to go back full-time, and so are our teachers.
Thank you, Bear Valley. Thank you. I know we have about 3 superintendents.
Hi, I'm Jan from Victor Elementary. We also are planning on coming back full in the fall, but we are anticipating a heavier than normal independent study program until our students here can be vaccinated as well. I think that's about it, though. We're anticipating and looking forward to coming back 5 days a week.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Heather Griggs with Oro Grande. We're also returning to 5 days a week, but with lower class sizes across the board. So we will be doing some hiring and looking for interns. Along with that, we already have 200 plus in our independent study and anticipate that maxing out at 600 for the fall with our Riverside Prep independent study. We think demand is going to far exceed our ability to provide in that area. Then we're also looking at expanded learning throughout the summer. So that's one of our needs as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Chinaka, this is Rob Roberts with
yes.
San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. And so some of the challenges that we have in San Bernardino County obviously is where we are with the tiered system. We do not, meet regularly with San Bernardino County Department of Public Health. And so some of the guidance that has come down from CDC that goes to the California Department of Public Health, that then goes to San Bernardino County Department of Public Health, is at times very challenging, especially for our LEA partners, our school districts. And with that, it's also regional. What happens in Oro Grande, Lucerne Valley is different than what's happening in San Bernardino City, for example. And so part of our challenges is as a county, we are not going to be moving into the yellow tier. And that's based on the metrics. That's based on we don't have enough testing volume. But obviously the governor has plans for schools to open up June 15th. I can tell you that sitting in on those meetings with our superintendent, Mr. Alejandre, and the district superintendents, there are a lot more questions than answers. There are questions about face masks moving forward after June 15th. There's questions about student barriers in the classroom size, et cetera. So, you know, I just applaud Mary and Heather and Jan, because it is really a very challenging set of circumstances, and it's not a single cookie cutter approach. It's really a regional and a district approach. So a lot of challenges, but I think for the most part, the mindset is to get back to having school. And I don't know if that's going to look the same. Jan pointed out one of the large scale pieces, and that is an independent study. We anticipate that we could have a large number of parents that are seeking that as an option. More broadly across the United States, one of the largest concerns is student attendance. The chronic absenteeism was 1 in 4 or 1 in 6. It's now 1 in 4. It's disproportionately affecting African-American, Latino, underrepresented populations. So that's kind of a snapshot of just a lot of moving parts from a county perspective.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a whole lot of issues we need to put into consideration. Okay, let's continue. Let the other district representatives, please. We would like to hear from as many districts as possible. If your district personnel has spoken and you have something to add, that's fine. But if we've not heard from your district, please let us know what you guys are planning to do.
Here from Hesperia Unified School District, right now we have our K through 6, TK through 6th grade are all in person for about this last month. We're in our last week of school here. So they're all back in person. We still have secondary and hybrid next year. The goal, like everybody else, is to have everybody back in person. And I think it's similar to everybody else, is trying to figure out, we have a population that are still interested in some kind of independent study. So meeting that need coming forward for next school year.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and piggyback off of Amanda. Carrie Socher from Etiwanda School District. Our goal is the same as everybody else, to be back full-time, 5 days a week. One thing that we are shifting from is away from offering independent study as an option, but moving towards our homeschool. So you get 2 options. It's going to be full-time in-person instruction, or our homeschool, which we utilize K-12 in our EVE program. So currently for this year, we gave parents and families a variety of options. They were able to choose hybrid model. They were able to choose a virtual model. They were able to choose independent study, which was month to month, and EVE homeschool. So we are taking it from 4 options to 2.
Thank you. That's insightful.
Yeah, we like to be very supportive of our parent and family community and just, yeah. But, and then as a theme for next year is resilience and recovery. So right now I'm planning a 2-day conference prior to the start of our work year for our teachers and credentialed and classified staff on everything from resilience, social emotional learning, academic aspects. I've got all kinds of visitors coming in, but they'll have a paid optional opportunity to engage in that prior to their contract start.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Here in Hemet, we have announced that we are planning on having in-person instruction 5 days a week starting next year. Again, fingers crossed that all goes through. And in addition, we only have one site that is our Academy of Innovation, which allows very much a hybrid type schedule. You can come to school 2 days a week and stay home and do your other school already, at home. So we already have a site for that. How we're staffing that site, I don't know, as parents are still making decisions whether they want to enroll their students in their homeschool or do the Academy of Innovation, where they have an option for a hybrid type schedule or an online schedule.
Mm.
But fingers crossed, we're back in person every day.
Yeah.
Hello, all. This is Wilson Cuellar from Riverside Unified School District. We have very similar plans to our neighboring districts. I think thanks to the pandemic, one of our newer schools is an actual virtual school for the upcoming school year. Mm. And so that's going to be a change in our approach, in addition to the home-based independent study. And also the plan for us is that every single level school, elementary, middle school, and high school, they will all be back in person 5 days a week. Obviously following protocols, but right now that's the plan and that's what's been communicated to all of our students and community members. But one big change obviously has been also the creation of this brand new 2 schools actually, a virtual TK through 8th school and a virtual high school as well.
That's neat. Thank you.
Up here in Rim School District, we are looking forward to going back to 5 days in person next school year. Currently, we are in hybrid up here, cohorts. Cohort A, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, distant learning for everybody. Cohort B, Thursday and Fridays. Next year, we're looking forward, like I said, to going back full time, not knowing if we're going to have masks or whatever it is, as others have mentioned. Prior, just the year prior to COVID happening, we actually started a homeschool program for elementary. So thank goodness for that. So we're going to continue that. So if our elementaries want to stay home on a homeschool, they can partake in that. And then we are also just started our RIM Virtual Academy. That homeschool will be pulled into that for elementary. And then for our middle and high school students who want to be on the RIM Virtual Academy, it will be Odyssey Ware to start with. So that's our plans up here.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other district we've not heard from? San Bernardino City, Morgan?
Sure, thank you. I'm just kind of listening to what everybody's doing and, very similar. We're planning on going back in person 5 days a week. I know that we have a committee who's working really hard on what that's going to look like. And so, I'm happy about that. I did talk with our HR department about, student teachers and if we were going to have any kind of special, if there's anything that I needed to know. And they said, no, it's just going to be whatever the school site, if there's, temperature checks or there's masks or there's whatever, then they'll just have to, follow the same rules as everybody else. I know that we are planning on having a K-8 virtual academy as well. And I do think that we still have some ways for students to do independent study, but is going to be all in person or all online, just kind of the same way that, that some of the other districts were talking about. And I don't think we have anything really virtual for our high schools yet, if at all. I'm not sure if we're going to have that at all. So yeah, very similar to what everybody's, to what everybody's doing. And I was going to write in the chat, but it's disabled. I was going to say that's so cool to Carrie at Awanda about what you're doing for your teachers coming back, those 2 days of just getting your teachers ready. I just think that's so important. So, we hired teachers last year who have only taught online. They've never stepped foot in the classroom. So super important to do that. So great job.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other district?
As far as Fontana, I think it's been shared. We're all trying to work really hard to offer that 5-day instruction, but like Mr. Roberts says, it's hard with the challenges that are handed down by the Department of Public Health. So we're waiting to hear what the restrictions or the allowances are, so we could start offering what those 5 days a week will look like. One thing I wanted to add to, especially as we were getting ready to reopen, is we reached out to our parent leaders at our school sites and in the district, and we shared some of our reopening plans and ideas. And that was very helpful because, many of us are classroom teachers, administrators, and sometimes we forget that lens parent or the parent lens. And we got a lot of good feedback and input from them when we were getting ready to reopen schools this school year. And we'll be reaching out to them again over the summer and as we open for next school year too as well. And then we are looking at both the distance learning and continue offering our virtual learning program too as well. So that's in the planning and hopefully rollout phase here in a few weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other district? Otherwise, one of the reasons why we wanted to have this conversation with you is because we know whatever you're doing will have direct implications for us, even as we try to bring students to your school sites. What if there are the conversations around mandatory vaccination policies? Any district thinking about that? Is any district talking about requiring vaccination to adults who are coming on the school site? I'm seeing a whole lot of shaking of heads. No. Okay. Thank you. I'm asking that because we will have to deal with that as we begin to talk with our candidates who are coming on your school sites. And at this point, because CDC has not approved any of these vaccines to the degree that anybody can mandate them, even as a university, we cannot mandate them. But there is expectation that CDC may approve Pfizer and Moderna in the next few weeks. And if they do, there is a conversation at the CSU of possibly mandating it. So I don't know what the discussions are. So we wanted to know so that as we encounter students who have issues with vaccination, who may not want to be vaccinated, that we know that the school districts are not going to require or mandate that. So we want to hear from you. The other issue that arises is, as you guys are sharing, I hear a variety of approaches that you will be embarking on in terms of delivering instruction. You know, the 5 days face-to-face. I'm assuming it also comes with reduced class size, as some of you have already indicated, and probably social distancing, mask rule mandates or not. So depending on the school site. The question for us from our end is, how flexible are the school districts going to be in accommodating our candidates in these multiple settings? Face-to-face, virtual, and even as you're talking about independent studies, are some of you looking at tutoring programs as options? So I know that you guys have talked about, so I would really like for you guys to advise us on how you feel we should engage as you are approaching these different multiple ways to deliver instruction. And my colleagues, please ask better questions than I am asking. I see some of you shaking your heads. So. So what will
I will say something. One of the things that the single subject program is looking at, and we've done a pilot over the last year, is for our early fieldwork students. We need to get them experience. A lot of them are coming in because of COVID with no experience. So we did a pilot with San Bernardino City at Pacific High School and also Victor Union High School District. And we've been doing mentoring for 9th graders who are struggling coming in. We know that from the junior high. And also with Pacific, catching students up that have failed classes. So our students have been helping, providing tutoring, helping with Saturday school in order to get their early field work hours in. So is there other opportunities for these early field work students to help you either virtually, and it has all been virtually at this point, or face-to-face in order to support students that might be behind because of COVID instruction?
So the question is, do you, as district leaders, do you see our candidates fitting in any of these areas, especially for the early field work experience, either in tutoring or helping with independent studies or something like that, so they can meet their early field work hours.
You know, Dr. Sambur, I was thinking about that because we had kind of talked about that. You're doing that pilot at, Pacific High School. And I think it would be really great if you got some kind of people together and the people who lead that program at Pacific High School, maybe, Dr. Raimundo, the principal, or maybe some of the people who lead that program can kind of share what your student teachers are doing and how they're helping their students. And that might give others an idea of what your student teachers can do. That might be helpful, because I was even thinking about that because you had asked me if that could work in any of our other schools, and I think absolutely. But I think somebody who runs that program at that site can share what they're doing. And what do you think about that?
I think that would be excellent, because I had the individuals running the program share with Victor Union, and that's what got Victor Union District on board, was because they shared what they're doing. Victor Union, I just got the report today. They're ecstatic. They want to expand it next year. They said it was very successful. So we're here to help. And you heard me say we have 200 plus new candidates need early field work. So we have a lot of support for the districts. We don't want to just do whatever it is that we need to do. We want to support the district. The students are eager to get out there, practice their skills, and support your students. So whatever you think of, I'll definitely talk to Pacific and try to arrange something, and then maybe send out an announcement.
Yes, let's do that.
And when Dr. Sumbera says 200 and plus students who are coming in, that's just single subject. We've not factored in multiple subjects. We've not factored in special education.
I would love to work on that with you.
So, and my question is, beyond San Bernardino, are there any other school districts that see any possibility of this kind of support being beneficial? We would like to know, even if all you can do is give us a name of somebody to connect with, so that, because Dr. Sumbera is trying to build as many networks as possible so we can get these students. Because what we have done during the pandemic, just is that for early field work, we've mostly depended on videos and pre-recorded instructional things for them to watch and observe and write their comments on. And many of the students felt like it was not sufficient. And we know that's not the best, but we try to give them what we could. So as we're returning to normal, we want to get as close to the real thing as possible. And since just hearing you talk about the multiple options that are out there, it is already evident that we're not going to have as many open classrooms for students to be able to be in all the classrooms and do their observations. So if we have other alternatives that can help with early field work, that would actually mean that we focus more attention on the classroom engagement with the student teaching group and give the early field work opportunity to a number of other resources that you have available. So I would love to hear from one or two other districts what you think about this approach.
This is Heather from Oro Grande.
Yes.
Let me give you the name, Dr. Minda Stackelhouse, or just contact me and we'd be happy to host those. We've been in person since September. And we've been in person since early March, 7 through 12. So we're more than willing to take field work observation or assistance. It's no problem whatsoever. Just let us.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to add to that real quick. This is Tammy from the placement office. For Oro Grande, it appears that we do not have your MOU back. So that would be necessary before we could do that. We're also pending Bear Valley. So if anybody wants to take that opportunity, we're gonna have to have that back prior.
So
If
Dr.
you'll just
Robertson,
send,
go
you
ahead.
just send it to me. If you just send it to me, and if you can send it to me by Friday, I'll get it on the board agenda for next week.
Okay, I'll have to give that over to Kathy Provencio, who was working on those. I just happened to be looking at the list, and so I just see they're not there. So before we promise opportunities, we would have to have that in place.
Yeah, we can take care of that. We'll send a copy over to you.
I don't ever remember seeing.
Okay, let me check. I'll check with them. Thanks, bye.
Thank you. All
Hi,
right.
I just checked with our director. This is Bear Valley, and she shared, she doesn't know if we've already received one. Have we already, when did you send out the MOUs?
They were sent out a little over a year ago. But we can go ahead and try and send another one out to you.
Well, you just send it to me and then I will, I'm going to put the contact for Bear Valley Unified, our Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction. I'll put that in the chat here. But if you could send that to me or her at the email that I'll put down, and that'd be great. I'm sorry that we were delayed. Thank you.
Problem.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Tammy, if you can check through the list again and see if there's another district represented here that we don't have their MOU, so we can also clean up and make sure everybody is on the same page.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So I think we will continue this conversation, but I just want us to respect our time. Dr. Marita Mahoney.
Please, Dean.
Go ahead.
Okay, you asked us to ask a question. During this pandemic, the faculty also have suggested that in some cases that we do not have enough resident teachers, that is it possible to have 2 candidates in a classroom working with 1 resident teacher? Because as we were just talking about it all over with our people all over the country, other faculty, other programs all over the faculty, that's one of the things that some other programs are doing in cases where the school district does not have sufficient resident teacher. They allow 2 teacher candidates to stay in 1 classroom. So please, it's something you will probably think about.
Okay, is there any immediate response to that from anybody from the school districts?
We had
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we had quite a few teachers, quite a few of our master teachers support 2 student teachers this year at the same time. And I think I think a lot of master teachers are able to do that. I think it's, site dependent. Some, administrators said, of course, absolutely. And some were like, I don't know about that. So it was definitely, a site thing. I was typing in the chat as you were saying. I sent my kind of annual master teacher interest survey out today to our teachers. We have about, 2,800 teachers, and I already have over 250 teachers who have said that they're interested in, supporting a student teacher next year. So I have a really wonderful way to get that interest. Every single teacher in our district has that, opportunity. And then of course, the admin has to approve, but sometimes just teachers don't know that there's opportunities to support a student teacher. So so I already have a huge database of people who are interested, and I was kind of surprised about that because I thought, oh, teachers are tired, they're ending their year, the last thing they want to think about is the beginning of next year. But people were so excited about the opportunity to support student teachers next year. I just couldn't believe how excited they were and how much they were like, absolutely, and thank you so much. I would love to support a student teacher. Please call me. I mean, it was great. So if anybody, somebody started using my process too, and it's working. So I'm happy to support any other district who was interested in that. I would even share my survey with you. It's really helpful to create a huge database of all kinds of teachers some who've never had the opportunities, to support a student teacher. So it's great.
Thank you, Morgan. That is encouraging to us. That's encouraging. So we will work fast to get our students out to you guys.
We're
Okay.
ready for them.
Suzanne, Mary, you were going to say something?
Well, I was going to say just what Morgan had shared, I think we need to get the feedback from our teachers and have some of those conversations to see if they're open to that. That would be just the only thing for us. And I think the survey is a great idea of how Morgan did that.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's encouraging that we have those options of finding out who is interested and knowing that many of them are interested in helping. And if we get to that point at which we have to double them up, I think the idea of sampling the teachers' opinion also is important at the district level. Dr. Jindra, you have your hands up.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add a little bit about the administrative services credential, that we also have a fieldwork component. So any candidate in our program needs to work under direction of their principal, or in high school could be assistant principal. And they need to accrue 120 hours over the time they're in our program. And so we have to be sure that if they're doing with one of your principals, that you're on the MOU list. So those are checked too. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we are one of the few institutions around here in the 2 counties that offers the accredited administrative intern program. That means once a student has been accepted in our admin credential program, they can be hired by you. A lot of districts are in need of administrators. They want them right now. So I do write a letter informing the district that they're in our program. They do qualify for the intern program, and then they can apply as long as they have at least 5 years of teaching experience. They can apply for our administrative intern credential through our credential analysts. Jennifer and Monica know how to do that. They've done that quite a few. Last year we had 14 educators in our program who became interns. They either came in as interns or they became interns during the program. So we wanted to let all the districts know that we have that availability here at Cal State. Thank you.
Thank you. Wilson.
Hi, thank you so much. I wanted to find out from the university, as far as options for master teachers. As I shared, Riverside Unified will be opening up a virtual middle school and high school and a virtual elementary. That totals about 135 of our current teachers. So it's quite a bit of teachers that we've taken from the in-person setting to a virtual setting. And so there's going to be many opportunities and at times cases where a master teacher is available and willing, but they are in the virtual setting and not necessarily in the in-person setting. So my question to the university is, are we going to still allow the flexibility for our students to still receive the credit, the training, and the clearance to get through their program if the only option for them is a virtual setting instead of an in-person setting due to possible lack of availability with our in-person teachers?
Let me ask the program coordinators to respond to that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's start with Dr. Sparks.
Okay, I do not see a problem with that whatsoever. I think that's a great opportunity, especially during COVID and how our student teachers had to learn a whole different environment, right? A virtual environment. So I do not see that being an issue for special education at all. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm sure my colleagues would probably agree, but I do not see that being an issue, as that's what I was wondering, if that option would still be available, especially sometimes it's hard to get placements. So thank you.
And I agree, concur with Dr. Sparks. Our candidates are well trained in the virtual environment, so any support that we can offer in that environment as well as face-to-face, we're happy to provide that.
Thank you. All right. So I was going to transition to Dr. Marita Mahoney, who is Special Assistant to the Dean and Director of our Assessment and Accreditation Programs.
Okay, Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I will just take a few minutes. I'm just going to give a few updates on some assessment-related activities. The first biggest one is please mark your calendars. We do not have a definite date yet, but our next accreditation site visit with CTC will be the spring of 2025. That is only 4 years away. I have earned every color of my hair. And we, as always, will be looking to our partnership districts for your support, and we will be reaching out to you. Obviously, a number of you have been through this with us, invited for campus interviews, but also as we prepare our documentation, we'll be reaching out to our community partners, our advisory board members, for feedback and input for everyone. Another update, a lot of you are probably very familiar with the Chancellor's Office Center for Teacher Quality follow-up employment survey that we usually do with our credential recipients 1 year out. Well, that survey is going on this year. This year, we are only following up with our teacher candidates. We are not following up with the employers. So if you are an employer or an HR director or officer, you will not be receiving an invitation to participate in that survey this year. And that is based on the feedback we have gotten. An annual survey, some of our school districts are doing 20, 30, 40, if not more students. And so it's a lot of work. So this year we are only focusing on the student side. A couple of updates as well. It's been alluded to already, and I'm sure the program coordinators will talk a little bit more about this, but all of our special education credential programs, our school counseling, and our school psychology credential programs are all writing to and will be transitioning to new standards currently scheduled to start fall of 2022. So I'm sure they will be reaching out to you and reaching out to our partnership districts, plus also reaching out to their advisory boards, how they have to, what program changes we need to make, but also what we need to do to meet community needs as part of those transition standards. My last update very quickly for those of you that are interested, our social science CSEP waiver program has met all preliminary standards are aligned, and it should be approved, fingers crossed, at the CTC meeting in June. So we will have an approved CSEP waiver for social science. Our music CSEP waiver application for that program is currently under review, and we hope to submit this summer for the theater arts CSEP waiver program as well. That's a lot of information to throw all out at you, but I wanted to share some of that good news as well with everybody as to the work that we've been doing here on campus, but also work that we've been doing with our faculty, with our staff, and with all of our community partners as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions,
Thank you.
I'm happy to
Any
answer.
questions for Dr. Mahoney?
I'm good.
All right. I think what I would like to add to what she just said is, as we begin to get ready for the accreditation, these programs will be engaging with you because we want your involvement as advisory board members and at partnering districts. So we will be calling on you to help as we prepare for the accreditation. The next item we have, please.
I believe Wilson has a question for Dr. Mahoney.
Oh, you do? Wilson? No, I think that was from the previous.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll take my question,
I'm sorry.
my hand down.
I would have missed you.
Thank you so much.
The prospects for fall fieldwork and clinical practice and CTC requirements. I wanted us to use this opportunity to review some of, not waivers, but accommodations that were made by CTC as a result of COVID-19 pandemic on program requirements, admission requirements, and program completion. I want us to have that conversation with you so you have clarity on some of the issues we are facing and will be facing even a year out from now. Let me ask the program coordinators. Let me start with Dr. Sumbera. If you can give us a rundown of some of the accommodations that were made, both in admission and program completion?
Sure. For single subject, because of the testing center shutting down, we had to waive the CSET and CBEST last year. However, this year we're requiring the CSET, the CBEST to be done and the CSET to be done before they go into student teaching, because we didn't have, the students can't focus on taking those exams while they're doing student teaching. So we're having a support system for them if they haven't passed it by the spring, and then basically working with them during the spring to get everything done, and then they'll follow up in the fall to do their student teaching. The other requirements basically is we've made some modifications. We used to require 2 sections, 2 classes they would teach, and they go to 4 sections that they would teach for 4 weeks, or 3 courses for 6 weeks. However, we had to make modifications. So at least 2 sections for the whole time will get us coverage with the CTC requirement. If they can do more, great. So that's a little modification. The next modification is we've changed our TPA requirement. They now do cycle 1 and 2 in 1 semester. So that means they're really busy. They need opportunities to record students, and they need to see the faces on the recordings. So those are the big changes that we've had to deal with COVID. And any support, we're trying to get the word out that we definitely would like your support with a teacher performance assessment. I think that's been the hardest. But thank you for everything that you guys do.
Thank you. The teacher performance assessment is the next item on the agenda, and we're going to have more conversations around that. Dr. Ajayi, do you have anything to say about multiple subject, some of the waivers and accommodations that have been made and their implications?
The accommodations are similar to what Dr. Sumera has just said. Currently, we do not require them to have passed the CSET and the CBEST. As a result, I mean, the Chancellor's office allowed them to be in the program. But now, as they are teaching, as they are in the program, some of them will be trying to take those exams. And also, Dr. Nick Vadi will be talking about the TPA later on, but just want to mention that currently some of them are not taking the TPA while they are currently in the program. They'll be taking it after they exit the program. So that's another accommodation we made for them. And also many of them are becoming very competent in a virtual teaching environment, which previously we were not focusing on, but no thanks to pandemic, so many of our students now, particularly those that just graduated, have a lot of skills in teaching in a virtual environment. So those are the few accommodations we have made so far.
Thank you. And when we talk about waiving CBEST, CSET, it's really not waiving, it is deferring, because those are requirements that cannot be compromised. What happened was we were allowed to admit students into the program without them, but they must meet those requirements before they finish the program. So right now, if as a college, we are actually exploring all kinds of support systems to make sure our students meet those requirements. So CTC accepted to have them as exit requirement because a lot of the test centers were closed and students could not take those exams, and we could not say they have to hold off on starting the program until after a year. That would have a negative impact on teacher supply for California. So the whole CSU is not just San Bernardino. The whole CSU elected that we will go ahead and enroll them in the program and require them to finish the program, complete those requirements before they can be credentialed. Now, I believe that CTC and the CSU actually have, those waivers were supposed to expire in August. And as a university, as a college, we are continuing to now begin to require all of those things so that we can just move forward. But in light of those who are already in the program, some of them who are working as student teachers in your setting are still working to meet those requirements. So they will meet the requirements before they get credentials so that nobody thinks we are giving you any candidate that did not meet all the requirements. We are going to make sure they all meet the requirements before they come to you. But those are some of the accommodations that needed to be made. So as we are going into this next academic year, we are still unsure, uncertain about what accommodations that need to be made. CTC may still say, okay, if the test centers that have not opened up in full volume, still admit and make it exit requirement. So as things develop, we will let you know. The aspect of Cal TPA is a larger conversation. And I would like to bring in Doctors Jindra, Dr. Groen, and Dr. Vardy into this conversation. Let's start with Dr. Groen. Dr. Groen was leading the TPA while Dr. Vardy was on sabbatical. And you know all the accommodations that were made as a result of the Cal TPA requirements. So if you can speak briefly to it and the whole discussion about induction, then Dr. Vardy, you can come in. And then after you two, Dr. Jindra will speak to the Cal APA.
Well, first of all, I want to thank our district partners for all of their efforts and assistance, because in our single subject program, we had well over a 90% pass rate for those who were able to submit their TPAs. Statewide, that's a pretty phenomenal pass rate. Multiple subject had a little more difficulty because of the nature of the students and filming, but they still had a very acceptable pass rate. So that's largely because of your efforts and your assistance. So we thank you, our candidates thank you, and we are having a very good luck there with TPA. We hope that it will be much better next year once we're back face-to-face, because the TPA really was designed to be done face-to-face. I'd be happy to entertain any questions or comments.
Let's see if Dr. Vardy has something to add before we go to questions.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so one of the accommodations that we made, and I want to reiterate what Dr. Groen said about the partners. You guys were phenomenal in helping our students, and we appreciate that. Is that some of the students were able to opt out of their TPA and take a waiver, and they will be required to do that TPA during their induction programs. And so that program is sunsetting this year, although the people that entered the program in January are still covered by that. So in the fall, there may be some students that will opt out to do the waiver depending on their situations or what's going on. But we do not know about the students that are starting in September, if they will have that option. At this point, the CTC hasn't said, so we're assuming that they'll be doing it during their student teaching, and we're going to move forward. A couple other things that we're going to add this year that we hadn't done last year, hopefully this will help everyone involved, is number one, we are going to send out a letter to the students, to the supervisors, to the district partners, and to the resident teachers, which will explain the role of the TPA and what is required in by each person, and what you're supposed to do. And we will have that letter that will give it to our students during their orientation this summer. And it'll go to the resident teachers with the supervisors, and we'll send it to the partners. So we'll do that. Another thing we're going to add is that I am going to hold a virtual office hours once a week just for the resident teachers, supervisors, and students who may have questions about the TPA and want to talk about it and say, you know, this doesn't make sense. My student's doing this. Am I supposed to do this? And we'll have that available so that they can just go online and ask their questions and get them answered straight away. So hopefully that'll help in the communication, and you know, we'll be better to serve you better that way. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's nice to be back. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them or help, you know, or answer any way I can. So
thank you. Let me add just some additional information on the CAL TPA. I hope all of you are aware that the California Teacher Performance Assessment, which is what CAL TPA is a Senate mandated assessment. It's by California law that every teacher candidate must complete this performance assessment before they can be credentialed. And it is an assessment that has its clear specification as to what it involves. It involves them being able to plan instruction to meet the need of all students in the classrooms and differentiate instruction. Do assessment, use assessment data to plan lessons that will benefit their students, and use the data from what they've learned to improve their instruction. They are supposed to videotape themselves teaching these students. And this is where we had our greatest challenge during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many school districts could not allow them to videotape because of the virtual platform. And in fact, many students were not even allowed to have access to the virtual environment. And that is why many of our students were not able to complete the TPA. For that reason, the state says if they finish all their requirements for credentialing and it's just the TPA, they will be issued a credential, and their completion of the TPA will then be at the school site through the district's teacher induction program. Now, we are hearing from some of you that we don't even know what to do to support them in TPA through the induction program, because it has not been part of your job. It has not been part of your portfolio. And so as we're going into this next year, we would hope to minimize that as much as possible. Since a lot of you are returning to face-to-face instruction, it is important that these students are allowed to teach and videotape themselves in order to meet this state mandate. It's not CSUSB mandate. It's not even a CSU mandate. It is the state of California mandate. And we cannot, in fact, some school districts said you can do your TPA videotape, but don't get any student's face. The way the state wrote this law, they have to show evidence that they're teaching K-12 students, and they need to see the face of the students. It's as simple as that. So I am explaining that so that as you hear about TPA from our candidates and its need, because I remember sending out at least 2 or 3 emails to the superintendents during this school year, pleading for them to please accommodate these students. So the students that are finishing now and may not have done it, we are looking for ways within our college to still provide them support so that they can meet the need. So, but moving forward, if you have any question about CAL TPA, Dr. Mick Verdi, Dr. Verdi, can you please put your email address on the chat so that people can contact you directly with any question, any concern that has to do with CAL TPA. Let's go to Dr. Jindra for CAL APA. CalAPA is California Administrative Performance Assessment. Please, Dr. Jindra.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So the CalAPA started in 1819. There was no scoring at that point. They just had to take it. But right now we're in the second year that the students have to get a passing score. There are 3 assessments. One deals with equity gaps, looking at data, quantitative, qualitative data. One is looking at a community of practice, working on a problem of practice. And in that one, there are videos. And so there were some accommodations from CTC on being able to record the videotapes, and all the people who are in that committee, their faces do have to show on that. And the third one is where they have to, as an instructional leader, observe a teacher, decide on a teacher standard, probably just an element of a teacher standard, then watch the teacher delivering a lesson. So they were allowed to watch that video of the teacher with the students. And then after that, a coaching session. So we had to really teach them some coaching skills. It was something brand new we had to add into the program. We have those 3 CalAPAs embedded into 3 courses that we teach that are required areas they have to know. And we've had to add a support class in winter session and summer session. But I want to let you know, over 2 years of the CalAPA, we have 100% passing rate here at Cal State San Bernardino. We work really hard with the students and support them. And just so you know, when you hire someone who comes from us, we say they are not only principal ready, but they are an equity leader. That's some of the information about CalAPA. I'll put my information, my email, if you have any questions about CalAPA. But it is mandatory that they have to pass all 3 cycles to get their preliminary administrative services credential. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Groen, Dr. Vardy, and Dr. Jindra? On the TPAs. Okay, I would like to make a slight change to our agenda. I would like to bring forward the conversation, the open discussion on placement issues and challenges. After the discussion, we'll go into our breakout sessions. And once your breakout session is done, you can leave from there. I would like for us to do it that way. So I would like to invite Dr. Stacy Robertson and Renisha Wilkes, because this is Renisha's first time meeting with you guys. And I think she has things she would like to share about their plans and expectations moving forward. So maybe Dr. Robertson, if we start with Renisha, and then you take over.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna just share my screen for a moment here. Bear with me. And I just have a couple of little blurbs that I wanted to share with you all. So first off, the start of the semester for us at CSUSB is August 23rd. That's a Monday. We know that you all have certain dates that you want the student teachers to start with your districts. So we just kindly ask you that if you have a start date in mind and you already have our information, feel free to orient the students as soon as possible as you would like to, just so they can get acclimated to your systems, any type of passwords they may need or any type of questions they may have. They can use that time to understand your expectations prior to starting with the resident teachers. Another little blurb I have here is to just thank you all for your partnership and your continued collaboration with us. We had a grand total of 344 credential finishers for the spring term, and we are super excited about that. During a pandemic, that's extraordinary. So thank you all. Without your partnership, we would not have been able to reach that number. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So right now, as far as where we are with our placements, we have a little over 169 student teaching students that will need a placement. So if you haven't heard from our office already, you will hear from us soon requesting those student teaching placements. But most of you on here should have already heard from me. But if you have not, I shared my contact information below just in case you need to get in contact with me for whatever reason. But a little bit over 169 student teaching opportunities we're still looking for our students for the fall semester. And as far as observation and early field work opportunities, that would be over 245 students that still need a placement. So we thank you all for sharing opportunities that you may have available for our early field work students. I know that Dr. Sombrera shared her contact information, but here is the supervision office staff's contact information as well. So mine would be the first one, and I'm going to share this handout in the chat as soon as I wrap up here. But again, I'm Renisha Wilkes. I'm the Fieldwork Placement Coordinator. We also have Tammy Patterson, who works with the special education students, and she also is our backup. And also Lauren Lopez, who you may have already heard from as well. She's the Administrative Support Coordinator. We also have a general supervision office email that you can feel free to use if you have any general questions. We also invite you to use this supervision office email if you have any handouts that you would like to give to our students prior to them coming to starting their student teaching assignment, or if there's anything that you would like for us to let them know on your behalf, we are more than willing to do that. And then also, if you have any feedback for our students, we want to make sure our program stands out. We want to be your favorite campus, the campus that you are just excited to hear from when it comes to placement. So we don't mind being the teacher's pet in that aspect. So please, if there's any feedback that you want to share with us to help us improve, feel free. And again, I will share this information in the chat box. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you. And I'll hand it over to Dr. Robertson.
Thank you. Thank you for the updates. I wanted to make sure we also added that supervision office email. I know that we've had a different staff rollover. Our placement staff are all connected to that one particular email. And if either Kathy or Renisha could put that in the chat box for us too, just so you have that one general supervision office email. From updates and challenges and successes, I think you guys have talked about most of the things that were on my list. I wanted to make sure we talked about those fall opening plans, the early fieldwork concerns. I'm glad that the dean asked about vaccinations. We were going to need to know about that information as well. So I wanted to make sure Renisha could give us updates with the numbers. I know it was good to see exactly how many students we've come through the programs. I also wanted to, I want to see if Jason's still on here. Part of my thing I put in my notes to Dean was to talk about the parent program that's coming up this week and possibly get their registration link. So if Jason could put the registration link for that in the chat, that would be helpful too, right? So we can get that. We have a repopulation. We're going to have a discussion with parents regarding repopulation and what their thoughts and feelings are. We have a couple of our faculty who are going to be doing some presentations, and I know that there's a open discussion period too. We should have sent this out to you guys. You should have actually received the flyers either from Jason or from Kathy or Jennifer, but also wanted to put that in the chat box so that we can get folks to come out to that as well. And the other thing I actually had on my list was when we talked about vaccines, I wanted to kind of back up to that and let you guys know that CSUSB has been doing vaccine clinics. So if you know anyone that wants to be vaccinated, is looking toward getting vaccinated, they are doing vaccine clinics on campus, and I will find that information for you while we talk about the other things before we log off. That's my list, because you guys will cover most of my list anyway.
Thank you. Let me just add to what she said about the webinar that is holding tomorrow. We're having this webinar through the Watson Literacy Center. I hope you all know about the center, which provides reading literacy support for the K-6 students in the area. And over this past year during the pandemic, we've held different kinds of workshops to support parents. And I believe many of you received our communication on that. This particular workshop tomorrow is focused on school reopening. We want to provide some guidelines to parents on how to support their kids. And we know, all of us here know that because of this pandemic, many of these kids who are returning to school are coming from homes where there have been deaths, all kinds of illnesses, losses of job, businesses, and all kinds of things. And these kids are coming with emotional wounds. So this webinar is focused on addressing the emotional wounds that kids are coming into the schools with, how parents can be on the lookout for the health of their children, and also how they can tap into school site resources and school district resources to support their kids. Our counseling and psychology program are featuring prominently in helping deliver this webinar. So we sent out information to the school districts, to the superintendents, to different arms of the schools. Jason has shared a link on the chat. I would encourage you to take the link and send it out to your school community. We have a healthy response already, and we're hoping that we'll get more people take advantage of this.
Dean, just to let you know, I did put both flyers for the event in the chat as well. We have a Spanish translated version and an English version of the flyer as well. And both flyers, if you click the link, will take you to the registration page.
Thank you.
And the webinar will be in both Spanish and English.
Yes, it will be simultaneously delivered in Spanish and English. It starts 4:30 p.m. Tomorrow evening. I was made aware that I was looking at the wrong agenda, so I apologize. So we are not going to be doing breakout rooms. We are going to allow these program leaders to provide any additional update that they have for their specific programs, after which we will allow for a time of question and answers. Let me start with Dr. Sumbera.
Just again, thank you all for being here and giving us great input. You have my contact information in chat. I'd love to hear from you. One of the big things that we're going to try to do next year to help connect the districts with our program a little bit more is to provide some webinar on instructional practices for our students, university supervisors and faculty. And we'd like to see if there's anyone, I heard a couple of staff development individuals here. Some of the focus that we're looking at is unpacking standards, looking at UDL and differentiation of instruction. So if you feel that you can contribute to that, we'd love to invite you, host a webinar for you. So contact me and let me know. The other thing that we're working on, we did go to a cohort model so students could support each other through the credential program. And we also have a couple of interesting, we're going to a hybrid format. So some are face-to-face and some are basically synchronous learning. And we're trying to reach out more to the districts and get our students into the districts to support your program. So anything that you're thinking about, please consider us, and we'd be happy to work out a partnership with you. So thank you again, and keep in touch.
Thank you, Dr. Ajayi.
I've no updates, only just to thank you for your continued support for our students. Thank you.
All right. I would also let you know that our multiple subject program currently is going through a transition. Dr. Ajayi is the department chair, so he is really not the program coordinator. He's stepping in because the program coordinator just stepped down, and we are in a hiring process. Once we hire somebody, we will let you know who is going to be in charge of the multiple subject credential in the next few weeks. Thank you. Dr. Shannon Sparks.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you so much again for your partnership with us. I'm really excited to look at the opportunities for our students. Morgan, I know Morgan very well and getting us placements, but I thank you for each of your partnerships with CSUSB. I wanted to think if there's anything else I wanted to include. I don't think so, but just know that I will put my information in the chat box on the side. And if you need anything with, I work alongside with Tammy with the interns and the student teachers. But if there's anything you need and you need a teacher, you need anything, I will do whatever I can to best support you in the process. So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Jindra.
Thank you. Just wanted to let you know that we appreciate you allowing our candidates to do their field work under the guidance of your principals or assistant principals. And that we have lots of opportunities for administrators to participate in our program. We do have mock interviews. We'd like you to come in as class speakers. And as we develop our professional clear credential, we are going to need coaches too. So I put my email in the chat box. So if you want to know anything more about our admin credential program, just email me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have a few more minutes for any questions or comments that anyone may have from our district partners. Any questions? Any comments? If there is none, I would like to express again our appreciation of you, your commitment, and your partnership with us. I would also like to stress our commitment to work with you to serve the Inland Empire region. We see it as a responsibility we cannot shy away from. And we know we cannot do it without you. So we value you. And I want to tell you that we have worked hard to put in place a student placement office that is ready to engage with you. I can assure you, we have a team that is ready to go. And we are counting on the years ahead being more positive, more successful, even than the years that have passed by. Thank you all for being here and for continuing your partnership with us. Thank you.